Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Vaughn Lane. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get those questions in. And guys, we are getting closer and closer, 100 days until kickoff. We're about to be in those double numbers there. 100 days, fellas. So, chat, what are you excited about 100 days out? Let's hear that. We'll revisit that here in a little bit. But, man, how about that, guys? 100 days away from the Longhorn season starting.
They are not the only ones. The chat is not the only ones excited. Bobby Burton is too. I'm ready for some football. I tell you what, guys, there's a lot to discuss today, whether it's women's softball playing against Tennessee later today or some of the things that are going on down here in Destin or even on Capitol Hill. We got a lot to talk about. And I feel like we're 100 days away. We're a week and a half away from the first big recruiting weekend. Just a lot of stuff going on right now that we can all talk about this morning. I will say this. I've been jealous before on where some of you guys check in from. Mm-hmm. I want to say that, look at this one, Jerry Hamilton. You like South Florida? How about this?
Well, that's Mallorca. I saw Mallorca. Yeah.
Yeah. I look, I think South Florida is probably nice. I think I might like Mallorca, George Callis, a little better. So good morning to you, and let's get going.
Yeah, there was a exchange student that was across the street from me. He went to school with me 1 year, and then he went back to Mallorca. And after hearing him talk, I don't blame him.
What did he after hearing him talk about what Mallorca was?
Well, he had a 1 year. He had a 1 year deal, as a exchange student, and I think he'd had enough. He went home.
All right, guys. Well, let's start it off.
And I agreed. All right,
hey, here's another. Wait. We got to do one more because this is a nice one. Victor Abundance checking in from Kansas City. Derek Johnson, Jamal Charles, Priest Holmes, Xavier Worthy. All former Longhorns made their way in Kansas City. Glad you're there, Victor.
Yeah. Well, yesterday, guys, the big news of the day was the Protect College Sports Act. And Bobby, you wrote a little piece on that this morning over at ontexasfootball.com. So I'm going to let you start.
Yeah, I actually wrote two pieces on texasfootball.com this morning. One about the SCORE Act and one about Greg Sankey needing to get off his keister and start doing something about college sports. But the Protect College Sports Act, introduced by Ted Cruz, as well as the senator, a Democratic senator from Washington. There are some really good things about it in there, guys. There is agent registry and restriction to 5% rather than the 15 or 20% that they had been charging. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have been charging. Two-way contract players in basketball, potentially managing, obliterating that ability. Essentially, if you go pro, you're done. There are a couple. Those are the couple elements I like. A couple of them I really don't. I think that they, with this bill, try to box in the SEC and the Big Ten. By boxing in the SEC, you effectively box in the University of Texas and limit its options, which I think, given that the University of Texas is one of the 15 or 20 schools that have created this value in college sports, to box them in is ridiculous and anti-American and anti-capitalist, by the way. And so it's overall, I think it's a last gasp. If people are persuaded by this, then I don't know what to tell you. While there are some good aspects, there are some like saying the SEC can't expand, like saying there's no more conference realignment because we've got to keep this ecosystem the way we like it now. That's not what's best. And they're trying to go back and put the genie back in the bottle, in my opinion, again, and it's already out.
So, yeah. The other one is the 5 years. I like the 5 years. I think that's a big one too, because it kind of goes along with the big issue in college basketball with the guys who go to the G League or sign those contracts, even if they never play an NBA game trying to come back. It kind of goes along with that too, because a lot of those guys are 5-year guys. They're past the 5 years, but the 5 years a big one for me too, because I don't think that's being talked about enough. Because essentially, if it's a 5-year window here for a certain age, what that means for in the Texas football this season terms is guys who would be eligible, doesn't mean they would do it, but some guys who would be eligible to come back would be Bo Masco and Raheem Biles. I'm taking the S out. I've been told the S is silent. Raheem Biles. That's just 2. That could be a really big deal for your college football team. And it also can be a really big deal for the portal come January, because how many guys who have played 4 will jump in the portal if they have one left that are a really good player and have that decision, that maybe decision, do you go pro and go mid to late rounds, or do you come back to college for one more year? I think that's being underrated right now. Bobby, the key is which of those are actually going to pass, because they're all not going to pass, but which of them will pass? I think some will pass.
I think there's the possibility of a trimmed down bill.
Yep.
We did not mention one other aspect of it, and I failed to do this. My apologies. They did put in a portal transfer rule. They want you to only have one transfer, one free transfer until you get time taken away from your clock. Now, that's interesting, but I think there are better ways to do that. Maybe instead of 1-year agreements, you always have to sign multi-year agreements, so you have 2 years everywhere you go. I think that's a little bit of an overreach by this bill, and I don't think that what the athletes are getting in return is commensurate with what they're giving up there. And so I think that ultimately they'll have some problems getting that one all the way past. You can't really talk about that. They also had the Lane Kiffin rule, Jerry. The Lane Kiffin rule basically being a school or a coach. A coach cannot move on from his team until after the end of his season, and not just a coach, but key personnel. So key members of like the offensive defensive coordinator, presumably. Can you imagine that if you're the offense coordinator at Texas and you can't go take the head job at Baylor?
Yeah.
And that's the only time it's just ridiculous.
It's with the portal and the signing day. There's no chance that's going to float.
And but they're trying to mandate it.
Yeah.
This would become a law. That
would change the dates. That would change the clock, I think. That would change the calendar, Bobby, is what that would do. That'd be interesting.
It's a ridiculous rule. Lane Kiffin is a problem because Lane Kiffin is a problem.
Yeah.
We don't need to manage to the lowest common denominator.
John Summerall did both.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. We
Yep.
don't need to manage to the lowest common denominator, and that's what they're trying to do. And by making such a rule, it has ramifications that are outsized and unfair to others. And so let Lane Kiffin be Lane Kiffin. If you want to deal with him and have hired him in the first place, and then have hired him at LSU, you deal with that. But don't mandate that on Texas. I mean, I think, or anybody else for that matter. It's just, or the people that coach at Texas. It's just not fair.
All right. We got more to talk about this morning, but first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Vaughn Lane.
All right, Longhorn fans in the Woodlands and North Houston, listen up. Vaughn Lane just launched a new route between Austin and the Woodlands, and you can book trips right now through October. We got some game times we need to discuss a little bit later, so make sure you check out Vaughn Lane afterwards to get your travel booked. That means football season is covered. No more white knuckling it down 290. No more fighting for parking. You ride in a first-class leather seat, connect to Starlink Wi-Fi, grab a cold drink, and show up at the game ready to go. But it's not just for game days. This route is perfect for business travelers heading to Austin, state government work, or the UT campus. And for folks in Austin, it's a straight shot to the Woodlands for concerts, family visits, or business in the area without dealing with the messy Houston traffic. And here's what you're not paying for on Vaughn Lane. No bag fees, no seat. You get automatic seat assignments. No nickel and dime nonsense the airlines have cooked up. Everything is included, from Wi-Fi, snacks, beverages, hotel or hot towel service, complimentary meals on select departures. You board at a private hotel terminal with no TSA and no lines. Vaughn Lane connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, and Atlanta. Book at vaughnlane.com. Enter code OTF26 at checkout for $20 off your first ride. Vaughn Lane, your private jet on wheels. I think we need to talk about those times that got released, because this is something else that's very newsy real quick yesterday. And as we also talk about a future schedule matter, Blake, if you don't mind.
Yep.
And I'll start with this times that have been now released. They added the UTSA and Texas State game times yesterday. So Texas State, September 5, 2:30. Bring your sunscreen, brothers. Bring your sunscreen. Bring your OTF hats. Find some mini fans that have that little spray of water.
Yeah.
2:30 kick on a Saturday. Oh my goodness.
I would advise people not to jog or do cardio in the morning if you normally do on Saturdays if you're going to that game, because you'll be very dehydrated and probably pass out.
2:30. They do follow it up the week after Ohio State with a 7:00 kick in DKR against UTSA. Man, I wish those two dates were changed. I wish our times were changed. I wish that was a 30 kick on September 19th and a 7 p.m. one. But I will say this. Texas did not get hosed like Arkansas got hosed yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
Arkansas athletic director wrote a scathing comment to his television partner and SEC commissioner, Greg Sankey, about having to travel to Utah, get back at Sunday at 6 a.m., and then play Georgia the next Saturday at 11 a.m. He was not having it. So, but Texas, other than the fact that we're going to all be out there in 10-degree heat, some of you guys will be watching on TV. I know that for a fact. Jerry included.
Watch with us. Good day for a watch with us, fans.
Yeah. Other than that, I think the Texas schedule came out okay.
Yeah, UTSA night games. So somebody said it looks like 5 or 6 night games this year, and I tend to agree with that. You already got 2 on the books. You're going to have A&M, good chance Tennessee, LSU. Looks like it's going to be 5 night games this year, maybe 6, depending on your record and the teams you play record and kind of how it all lines up. But that's a good place to be. So after the 2:30 opener, I think things are going to be much better for the Texas fans.
Fingers crossed, man. Jeez.
I mean, UTSA being a night game is good in September. I wasn't thinking that one, so that's good.
Let me ask you this. You think maybe you need some rotation pieces on the offensive and defensive line if you're going to play at 2:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yes.
In early September?
That's a game I would play as fast as possible, try to get more snaps.
Oh, you would try to get more snaps?
Yeah. If I'm Texas versus Texas State, because my depth. I try to move fast on that game. I try to move fast, try to get them tired, because they're going to have a big drop off at Texas State in their second team. And that's my one game. If I can get up on somebody, that I can actually get some of my young kids in the game. Because UTSA, because their quarterback's going to be an NFL.
You mean Texas State?
Yeah. I mean, UTSA, I think will be a tougher game than Texas State for Texas.
Oh,
so okay. If I'm Texas, I try to actually play fast, get more snaps, dictate some tempo early against Texas State and wear them out.
Score and score often. That would be my game plan.
Well, speaking of scheduling, another note that came out yesterday, Chris Del Conte talking about the Notre Dame game along with future scheduling. And he said, as far as Notre Dame goes, they're tentatively on the schedule right now. And then went on to say, one of the things that makes college football great is your non-conference schedule and what your regular season is. When you play in games of that nature, you should get rewarded for that. Bobby, I'm going to let you explain a little bit.
Ties in 2 ways. I was actually in the media scrum when he said this. and looking straight at him. They're tentatively on the schedule. I would put period after that if I were punctuating this sentence, and then say, then he said, right now. So I just got to tell you guys, if you're reading between the lines, I don't know if Notre Dame's going to happen, boys. I don't know if it's going to happen. And I will tell you this much. There is good reason for that, based on another conversation that I had yesterday within the SEC coaches. Met with the College Football Playoff Commissioner, Rich Clark, in closed-door meetings. In that meeting, I am told that Clark explained to the coaches of the SEC how they came up with the idea where certain teams were ranked. Okay. If y'all remember, Texas in the final college football playoff meeting, committee meeting, was ranked below BYU. So was Vanderbilt. Okay. Well, Texas Tech blew out BYU twice. BYU had no real quality big wins. How in the hell was Texas ranked below BYU?
And Vanderbilt, both of them. Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can say what you want, and people have said this. Oh, they didn't make the playoffs because they lost to Florida. Okay. Okay, that's fine. You can say that. But Texas was, if you take away that Ohio State game and they had been 10-2 and had played Texas State and won that game and were 10-2, Texas would have been in that playoff over BYU and should have been. So how do you not consider this Notre Dame series in the grand scheme of things if you're Steve Sarkisian or Chris Del Conte? It is the conundrum because people like Rich Clark want to make everybody happy instead of actually saying, oh, these other leagues are actually better because they have more good players. And, I could go into even further issues that I see right now, not going to this 16-team playoff, instead staying at 12. Matter of fact, I feel like Greg Sankey got duped. And I think his coaches feel like Greg Sankey got duped.
Agree.
Into going into the 9-game schedule. So a lot of stuff.
Bobby, what did the guy tell the SEC about BYU being ranked over Texas and Vanderbilt, though?
I did not get direct quote. Okay. But there is reporting out there in multiple places that certain coaches were unbelievably upset that for the reasoning Rich Clark and the College Football Playoff Committee gave. Just beside themselves. Like, what are you saying here? They just didn't believe it. And so they left more upset than they came in, is the way it was described to me.
Yeah.
They feel like strength of schedule just doesn't make a crap.
I'd be very interested on the BYU thing from the rank, and I'm not going to rehash the whole playoff thing at all. But the whole BYU, that one singular ranking, why BYU is ranked ahead of Texas and Vanderbilt. I would like to know their answer on that one, because that one doesn't make sense to me. That's the one that doesn't make sense to me. But on the Notre Dame game, I would really hate that. As somebody who grew up loving college football, look, I hope it doesn't come to that, because that's one of the great, and I'm sure any Texas fan that went to a Texas Notre Dame game at Notre Dame, it's a once in a lifetime experience. You grew up. It's just like Notre Dame. Some fans look at coming to Texas. Oh man, it's the only time I'm ever going to do it. They know the history of the game. So for some of the younger fans that are now becoming part of college football, that would really suck for them to lose out on the opportunity to go to Notre Dame and watch Texas play at Notre Dame. That's how you keep growing, to me, the game in a way of people truly loving it and understanding the history, understanding the magnitude of when Notre Dame comes to Austin and when Texas goes to South Bend. I'm thinking of the younger fans coming up in the game. I mean, I think they're could get cheated is the only word I can use, a short end of the stick on some of the history of college football. And that's the thing I hate for the next group of fans coming up. So hopefully it doesn't come to that. We'll see. But I think that would suck for the next generations of fans coming up.
No, and all that's going to happen is they're going to do that more and more and more.
I know.
Because if you expand the playoffs, people are going to find they want access to the playoffs. You know what access to the playoffs means? According to, if Texas walks out of that meeting yesterday with the College Football Playoff Committee, access to the meetings means fewer games that we could lose, please. That's what access means. That's crap.
Well, here's what college ads have been saying though. So if they're going to go back on their word in a way, because they've been saying if the playoffs expand, then more teams are getting in, and we don't have a reason to trim those non-conference games. So are they going to go back on what they were saying? Because that was what everybody was saying. If the playoff expands, then that one loss won't matter as much as it does in an 8 or 12 team playoff. So if it goes to 16, if it goes to 24, that was supposed to save those games. Are they now going back on that? Because if they go back on that, I have a real issue with that as a fan. I'll just be honest. That's where I come out on that. Because the talk was if the playoffs expanded, then they wouldn't have to walk away from some of those games. Because one loss, 9-3, can get you into the playoffs. But if they go back on that, that's BS for the fans. Total BS. That's where I come out on it. And I'm not talking about Texas or anything. I'm talking about college football in general.
All right, we had a question from B2 and ATX. Where does CDC stand on 16 versus 24 game playoffs? Bobby, do you know the answer to that?
He said publicly yesterday that he's not for sure on any number. I think Texas would be fine with 24 because Texas wants to play Notre Dame.
Right.
And still be good enough to get in. So there's two sides of that coin. But the problem is that you're going to be crowded out of that when people like Indiana, instead of scheduling anybody, keep scheduling Connecticut State and, Eastern Michigan and whatever other MAC school. The problem with going to 24 is there needs to be some equity in scheduling, in my opinion, across college football. Otherwise, you're not going to get the cross-conference matchups you want. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think the Big 12 can do it. I don't think the ACC can do it. And that's one of the reasons why I think that the SEC and Big 10 should break away and play intra-conference games and figure it all out that way. Yeah, Indiana removed Virginia from their schedule. It's just that's the kind of stuff that it's okay. They had a great team last year, and they were probably healthier than a lot of other teams because they didn't take on Ohio State early in the year. They didn't play a SEC-like schedule. But, I feel like those two conferences at the end of the day need to break away and create a different college football. That's my opinion.
There was a comment pulled up, just schedule the wimpiest teams you can, like Texas Tech. Here's the problem with that long term. Ticket prices are going up every year. People are going to go to those games. People are going to care about those games. That's the kind of one of the issues here is due to NIL and a couple of other things. Ticket prices are going up every year, right? 7-10%. That's good. That's hard to keep doing if then you schedule 3 powder puffs all the time. Now, in my opinion, I think you'll see. I mean, tickets will be paid for, but you'll see empty seats. You'll see more empty seats. I think people will care a little less on those games. I think there's a give and take to all of this. But that's the look. And the reason I say that is people always, what do they complain about? All these college basketball fan bases. Well, the home schedules are terrible. You don't want your non-conference schedules to be terrible either. They have 3 cupcake games. You can if you're some people, but not if you're Texas and Ohio State and people like that. That's not what you want. Not when you're raising ticket prices every year. That's not a good long term.
All right. Well, we got a lot more to talk about this morning. We got some questions that we need to get to as well. But first, guys, I'm going to tell everyone about one of our sponsors today. That sponsor being Prize Picks, and we're about to be in the dog days of summer. Everything's rolling. Basketball playoffs are red hot. Baseball's in full swing. There's a lot of sports action going on, and Prize Picks adds a lot more fun to your favorite sports. Now, every possession matters. Every at-bat matters. You're locked in from start to finish. You're not just watching anymore. You got a little juice in it as well. And the best part is it's easy. You're just picking more or less on player stats. You build your lineup, you submit it, and then you're good to go. And you can go across any sport as well. Basketball, baseball, hockey, golf, even esports. Whatever's on, it fits. And guys, I put the wrong one up yesterday, so I'm going to try to put the right lineup today here. And yesterday I actually picked Davis Martin. Well, they ended up not pitching him. So we're going to take him again today to have more than 5.5 strikeouts. Actually, 5 strikeouts, excuse me. He's been a force on the mound. He hasn't had less than 7 in the last 30 days. We're also going to take some WNBA action here, taking Paige Beckers to have more than 14.5 points and Caitlin Clark to have more than 17.5. And we're trusting our gut. That's exactly what you do on Prize Picks. You make your picks, you lock it in, and now every single moment actually means something. Don't forget, Prize Picks is available in all 50 states, including right here in the great state of Texas. So now is the time. Jump in, download the app, use code HMA, play $5. They're going to give you $50 in lineups instantly. Again, code HMA. 5 gets you 50. It's as simple as that. And as always, play smart. Be sure to play responsibly and play Prize Picks.
I like your WNBA will be good.
I like it. We've been doing great here lately. I got to say,
Paige Beckers is pretty much a winner unless she rolls an ankle.
Definitely. All right. Well, hey, as we said at the beginning of the show, guys, it's 100 days until kickoff. And one thing that we're going to do the player countdown as we always do, but we're also going to look back, Bobby and Jerry. And so we're going to start looking at the previous year's football team. So we're 100 days away. We're going to look at the 1927 Texas football team, a chance for people to learn a little bit. And let me tell you the craziest fact that I learned when researching 1927 Texas football. It spawned the deep dish pizza. Suel, he was an all SWC Southwestern Conference guard. He ended up after graduating and started a pizza restaurant, and the deep dish pizza was born thanks to a Texas football player.
Chicago.
In Chicago. How about that? He actually wanted to open a Mexican restaurant up there, but decided to go with pizza instead, and thus the deep dish pizza was born. But man, a very good team defensively. 6 of 9 opponents held to 7 or fewer points. I mean, they had a great defense back in 1927.
I think it's funny you mentioned that like a Texan created the deep dish pizza. Who thought that?
Yeah, who would have guessed?
Yeah, John Heisman was the head coach at Rice,
they beat them.
trophy's namesake. Yeah, and then they played Vanderbilt in Dallas that year. I think that was the only previous time they had played Vanderbilt until last year. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So pretty crazy.
I'm glad we got a deep dish pizza created out of this, because you tied TCU, got shut out against SMU, and got blown out at A&M. So I'm glad something did, because if this is what happened in 2026, this chat would be wild. It would be wild if you lost to SMU and got blown out by A&M.
Bobby, your wife and Josie are ribbing you, wanting to know how the games were in 1927.
Yeah, easy now. Clyde Littlefield was the head coach for Texas.
Yep.
That's Littlefield Fountain, the one that people jump in all the time over there on the South Mall at the University of Texas.
Did A&M win the national title in 1920? NIL and rev share, that's a good pool, if that's true.
Wow. Is that true?
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
We all know when their last one
They
was.
probably claim it along with Alabama.
Yeah.
They probably retroactively put that up on the side of their stadium.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And this was the last year that they wore their original uniforms. The following year, it went to that true burnt orange, which we'll learn a little bit about tomorrow. But 1927 was a very history-filled year for the Texas Longhorns, no doubt about it.
What about 1939, the last time A&M won a national title? You know, people that were born that year: Tina Turner, Marvin Gaye, the guy from Iran that's no longer with us, David Allen Coe, Lily Tomlin. I mean, Ralph Lauren, man, Maury Povich. A&M, the national title is not yours since then. I mean, just think about all the people that were born in 1939. They share the same year of A&M's last national championship.
Good little jab to close out that session.
I will say that my dad and mom were not born the last time A&M won a national. How about that?
Oh, good.
Well, I did not see the 1927 team. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's move on to a little bit more current affairs instead of 1927. ESPN, they actually ranked the quarterbacks across Division I, and they put them in tiers. I'm going to put this graphic up. Now, there are 5 quarterbacks in Tier 1. Darian Menza from Miami, Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss, Julian Sand from Ohio State, CJ Carr from Notre Dame, and the last one, Arch Manning. But Manning and Menza are the only returning quarterbacks with 3,500 plus yards and 35 plus touchdowns. Y'all's thoughts on their list?
I love it. My initial thoughts is I love it. I think it's a really good list.
I was going to say, do you think there's any other quarterback? I mean, Lenoris Sellers at South Carolina, but he had a really poor year last year.
Poor year, offensive line was terrible. Let's see what Kendall Briles and that system can do for him. I think he could make the big jump. I just don't think South Carolina's got the guys around them. They lost their left tackle to ACL in a team basketball event before spring practice. I just don't think they can put the people around them, which is what we were talking about last year. I love this list, though. Look, I think Trinidad Chambliss has shown the clutch gene. I think Mensa's a really good player. I mean, he carried Duke to an ACC championship. Even Steve Spurrier has to give him credit. And I know it was a weird ACC championship, but I don't care. Arch Manning, obviously. CJ Carr, I think, is a very, very good player. I think like Arch, I think if I look at guys here and who could make the biggest jump this year, I think it's Arch and CJ Carr. I think Trinidad Chambliss, you kind of know what you got there. You saw him in the playoffs. I think Mensa is in an interesting spot because Miami lost all their OL, 4 draft picks, but you know that Cristobal and the little offensive line, I always forget his name, Alex Mirabal, they're going to have good players, but they're going to be younger. Julian Sand, I mean, obviously played on a tremendous offensive team last year. I think Arch and Carr set up for the biggest jumps this year, Bobby. I think it's a really good list. Obviously, Oklahoma and CJ would love to see Mateer on there, but he's not. Sam Levitt.
You'd like to see Marcel Reed?
So Reed and Mateer are both considered Tier 3. Levitt is considered Tier 2, along with Dante Moore and the USC quarterback, Jaden, however you say his name.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, I think, you know, you heard Lane talk about Sam Levitt, right? It'll be interesting to see what he does in this system. I think he's a talented quarterback. I think, you know, just keeping things in kind of the cone for him, the people outside of his world, but coming off the foot injury, it'll be interesting to see what he does in LSU system. He's going to have really good players around him, really good scheme. We'll see if he has a chance to move up into this tier. I don't know yet. Let's see him play coming off the foot. Somebody asked, where's Sorsby, Blake?
I don't know. Let me see if they listed him. Thorsby is actually considered tier 9, along with Lenora Sellers.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I love this list, guys. I think it's a really good list, Bobby.
Yeah, Dante Moore. Just in listening to that list of the tier 2 ones that Blake mentioned, I could see him being pushed into this group over perhaps a couple of them. But I've said this before. I think that Trinidad Chambliss is maybe the best college football quarterback on this list. And I mean that with, y'all know I love Arch Manning. And I really like Darian Mensah too. And I think CJ Carr, and I think they're all good. Trinidad Chambliss has a little bit of an it factor, along with some mobility and moxie. He makes the easy throws that are wide. I mean, he just showed me so much last year in the last 10 games, Jerry.
Yeah.
I feel like he's almost like a consummate college quarterback. I don't know that he'll be a great pro quarterback, by the way. Like, I don't think he's as good a pro quarterback as Bryce Young, even. Like, he doesn't have that kind of arm strength, but he has that. He's one of those guys that has a feel for the game that you, as a person that loves to watch football, you got to appreciate when somebody has that kind of feel for the game, even though he's not this like special athlete. I like him a lot. I have a little bit of a crush on Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah, I mean, like to go from D2 and have the clutch gene in the SEC and show a clutch gene and going from D2 to SEC. That's pretty high level mental stuff.
Sure.
And that means the game's slow for him naturally too. I'm a big fan of Chambliss.
People asking about DJ Lagway. I put 5. Actually, I misread that. He's actually tier 14.
That's about right.
He is way down
right.
the list. Yeah, tier 14. The Arkansas quarterback guys, tier 15. I'm just trying to look through any other.
Where's Kamario Taylor, the Texas schedule?
I want to say this about DJ Lagway real quick, because I actually got some news here out of the SEC meetings. When you go into these meetings, yes, you get to see Chris Del Conte, Steve Sarkisian, Vic Schaefer, Sean Miller, and John Calipari and Lane Kiffin, and you get to see all those guys. But those are like 15-minute segments, right? The majority of your time, you're talking to other reporters from other places, national, local. Florida folks are happy DJ Lagway made it out of town, in my opinion. They said from their vantage point, two different guys said it, that Lagway's dad was a major issue in Florida. Like he wanted to do things and control how his son was managed from the top to a level that some Florida coaches, not necessarily the head coach, didn't think was appropriate. So take that for what it's worth. He's now at Baylor. Could be just sour grapes from Florida. I'll readily admit that, but that is one thing that was told to me here in Destin this week.
I think it's probably good for Lagway to get out of there too. I mean, look, DJ, he should have had surgery coming out of high school, but at the end of the day, in 2 years of college football at Florida, he has even interceptions and touchdown numbers against Power 4 teams. That is not good quarterback play. No matter what is talked about outside of it, when you're even after 2 years on interceptions and touchdowns, if there's something below tier 14, he probably should have been on it. Let's see what happens in year 3. That's not going to win you football games. Can't have 20-plus interceptions.
So as far as the other quarterbacks that Texas will face that we haven't already talked about, both Texas State and UTSA tier 10, Tennessee tier 12, Florida tier 11. Mississippi State tier 8, Missouri tier 11, and Arkansas tier 15.
Okay.
So way down the list on a lot of those after, the first couple of guys that we talked about. All right. Let's see here. We got some super chats that we need to get to. And we need to talk recruiting. So let's use this one to transition to recruiting. Longhorn Frenzy says, good morning, fellas. Jerry, what are your thoughts on Kamara post on X yesterday about not taking any official visits? Great show as always. Hookle.
I'd say 1, I'm not totally surprised. 2, I think he's been on unofficial visits everywhere to all the schools now. So, I mean, how many visits do you need? I think 3, there is an element of some summer school there, so he can graduate in December.
He's trying to take 2 years, trying to graduate high school in 2.5 years, essentially, right, Jerry?
Yeah. So I think there's an element of that. I don't think that's the whole thing. I'm just being real. I think there's an element of it.
Right.
And I think he'll show up on some campuses this year for some unofficial visits, which will serve as his official visits. But I don't think it's totally surprising. The one thing I can say that is I always look at when things like that come out, or I check on immediately. Did the college coaches know ahead of time? It's like when a kid's committed somewhere else and he takes a visit to another school, you always reach out. Hey, did he let y'all know beforehand? And the good thing on Kamara and his people, his circles, they let Texas know. They let other schools know. If you're a college that didn't know when it came out, you're probably not in the game. But I think the schools – look, obviously A&M was told because he was supposed to OV there this weekend. Texas was told ahead of time. So this was not a surprise to Texas. So in terms of recruitment, do I think he'll make a decision and go take it all the way to December? I think he's one of the guys we've been considering that's a possibility for.
And then I know you wanted to talk about Trenton Blaylock as well.
I do.
Gary.
Yeah, we have not. I don't think we've played Trenton Blaylock's huddle highlights on here, and I think we should because he's a corner who had a great track season. I think till he got a little injury late. He's a guy that Texas really likes at corner. I mean, he ran 10.54, 10, maybe even 10.47 this spring. He's grown to 6 feet tall. Obviously, he's the younger brother of Torrey Blaylock, the running back at Oklahoma, who's in a fight right now to be in the 2 deep next year. I think that's something to know. Where does that end up for him? But Blaylock starts his official visit process this weekend at Vanderbilt. Then he goes to Texas on the 5th through 7th. Then he goes to Oklahoma on the 12th through 14th. And he's got FSU on the schedule the 19th through 21st. We'll see on that. But a guy that has really grown on Texas and the in-person evals plus the track performance this year, and a guy that if he called Texas today and wanted to commit, they would absolutely take Trenton Blaylock. And so that's something important to know. John Meredith, obviously, is a Texas lean at the corner spot. He visits A&M this weekend. Dylan McGee at Red Oak, we believe, is a Texas lean. He does have SMU. He does have Penn State. His Texas OV is the 19th through 21st. And we do believe Texas would take 3 corners, Bobby, if 3 fall their way. But we had not played Blaylock's huddle on here before, and I felt like we were doing a little disservice to him and that we needed for Texas fans to know this is a very serious recruitment. Texas is very seriously in this recruitment, and we'll see which way it goes. But I don't think Texas would be staying in this recruitment with a older brother that played at Oklahoma if they didn't think they were truly in it. We'll see where it ends. See when it ends up.
If I'm wrong, but Blaylock played high school ball at Atlanta High School in Texas, East Texas.
His dad, Derek, did. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I meant. His dad, Derek, played for them and then played for the Chiefs in SFA, I believe, coming out.
Yep.
So he's got deep Texas roots. That being said, his son just went to OU, and his older son went to OU. So we'll see how it goes, but he's clearly a very talented player, runs really well and smooth.
Real speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Derek Blaylock trains a lot of the guys in the North Houston area. He's been doing that speed. And he's not playing against chumps now. This is real competition that Atascocita plays. I mean, if that's Westlake, if you go through the tape, They're playing against really good competition, really good teams, really good schemes, really good coaches. But his dad's trained a bunch of guys, some guys that went to Texas, some guys that didn't go to Texas. And that's what happens when you train a bunch of good ones. I believe Jonathan Brooks even worked with him at some point.
Oh, interesting.
So I think he did at some point. So Derek Blaylock, he trains a bunch of guys from a strength and conditioning standpoint in the North Houston area. So it's no surprise that this kid's really fast and has been trained really well. But he's got a great corner frame too. He's got long enough arms. He's got that sleek build. There's a lot to like about him. It's easy to see why Texas really likes him, especially once he popped 10.54 the first track meet of the year, and I think got it down to 10.45, 10.47.
Got some nice long arms too.
Yep, no doubt. Great corner. We talked about this. Safety could be out of state for Texas. We talked about this way back. By the way, it's Jason Johnson, defensive lineman, which Texas likes. I don't think they'll end up getting from an NIL perspective, but good player as well. But the corner group in the state of Texas is really, really good. It's a strong position. And Meredith takes up a lot of the oxygen in the room, as he should. But once you start digging into the depth at corner in the state this year, it's really, really good. Roger Goodman says,
what did you mean? Wait. What did you mean about Jason Johnson, the DL, NIL? I didn't understand that.
Well, I think some of the DLs in the state are what we've talked about before is that, I think Texas would like to get one of those guys from
one
the
of
state.
Which?
Well, I mean, like a Jason Johnson, the kid at Barbers Hill. They were in on DeMarco Jenkins. But I think the problem is some of these schools are going to come offer these guys bigger 2-year NIL deals, which is what we've talked about. So, like, if you're a lower tier P4, you're going into some of these guys and saying 2 years, whatever that number is. And Texas isn't, from a tier perspective, isn't going to match those numbers. So I think that's where recruiting and D-line is interesting, because I think Texas is, they have everybody has their guys in tiers. And if you have a tier 2 guy, he's a tier 1 for somebody else that's maybe not the level program you are. And those people are attacking with 2-year bigger NIL contracts in this cycle. That's what we're seeing.
All right, let's get to some more. Well, before we get to some more super chats, I need to tell everyone about one of our other sponsors. That's Delete Me. Have you ever Googled yourself and you see all the results and you're like, whoa, why is all of that out there? Your phone number, your old addresses, your family members, places you've lived. It's kind of unsettling. And with scammers, stalkers, and hackers making it easier than ever to use that info against people, this is one of those things we probably should have taken care of yesterday. So here's what you do. You go to www.joindeleteme.com/TXFootball and enter code TXFootball. You'll get 20% off Delete Me. And Delete Me removes your personal information that's being sold online. As for me, with what we do online every day, privacy matters. I don't want my personal info or my family's info just sitting out there on data broker sites. They do all the hard work to help you remove your personal information from hundreds of those websites, and they were even named Wirecutter's top pick for data removal services. Take control of your data, keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. And now, at a special discount for our listeners, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/TXFootball and use promo code TXFootball at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/TXFootball and enter code TXFootball at checkout. One more time, that's joindeleteme.com/TXFootball, code TXFootball. All right, some super chats that we need to jump into. This one here from Dre from Virginia. Dre says, what interview from a non-Texas coach from the SEC spring meeting stuck out to you?
Two, Mike Elko at A&M and Kirby Smart at Georgia. Mike Elko, when I say there are non-believers in this world about college football's current structure, Mike Elko is one of them. I mean, Mike Elko wants a commissioner. He wants, rules. He goes, there are no rules. The rules are, there are no rules. And it's a free for all. And he goes, how many teams do I want in the college football playoff? I want 40. Because everybody in here is their own self-preservation, whether you're a media writer or I'm a coach or the AD or whoever. I'll take 40 because I think I get in the playoffs every year that way. And I think I keep my job probably. I mean, it's just, and at the same time, the snark, he's kind of snarky. I'll put it that way. And I don't mean that necessarily in a good way. I think he's dismissive and there's some issues there, but nonetheless, I agreed with almost everything he said. So I want to give him that credit.
Yeah.
His demeanor kind of rubs me a different way. As far as Kirby Smart, look, what struck me about Kirby Smart is he is the elder statesman in the league, first of all. Okay, so he speaks from experience, not just as a head coach, but as a longtime assistant, and when he starts calling for change, and your president of that university starts calling for change, and you don't get any from Commissioner Greg Sankey. I mean, these guys have been around. I wrote an article this morning on Texas football. I hope everybody gets a chance to read. I basically compared the SEC right now to the hotel where all of this is taking place. It's this really nice resort, but it's dated. It's 40 years in a row the SEC has had their spring meetings at this same hotel. Okay, so a 40-year-old nice hotel is going to look dated. The carpet's going to be old, right? It's going to have those 80s designs. The stucco walls look kind of sticky, It is what it is. Gorgeous beach line view and all this other stuff. But it's desperately begging for a remodel. This hotel is. I mean, I'm just telling you, the view is impeccable, right? But the hotel itself is begging for a remodel. I listened to Kirby Smart. I listened to some of Steve Sarkisian. I listened to Mike Elko. They are begging for a remodel. And the guy responsible for the remodel in the SEC is the commissioner. Okay? And he ain't doing it. My article today was about the SEC has been so accustomed to what I call leading from the side. They don't lead from the front. They try to react and maneuver their best way into what the laws are and stuff. Frankly, they were a regional conference, a very strong regional conference. Then they added A&M and now Texas. Now you have the weight of the state and gravitas of the state of Texas, okay, alongside you. The SEC needs to lead from the front. From the front. They don't need to react. They need to set the stage. The SEC is currently not setting the stage. They're getting outmaneuvered by the Big Ten, and this bill that just got put forth had more Cody Campbell fingerprints on it than Greg Sankey. And that's crap. And that, in my opinion, is poor leadership. Now, what does this mean? Well, that bill may never pass. And we just kick the can down the road. Greg Sankey's job, and he likes to, in all of these interviews, he likes to say he evaluates. We're evaluating. I haven't read that yet. I need to evaluate it. And look, I am all about not throwing spaghetti at the wall. And so I agree with him in that. But at some point, you have to take aim and fire. I don't feel like it's been 4 years and he hasn't fired a bullet other than to ask Congress for help. And this is where we end up, where Congress tries to box in the SEC and Big 12, or Big 10. So if that's what the results are, Greg, you gotta, they're at your people, Kirby Smart, Mike Elko, Steve Sarkisian, Chris Del Conte, the president of the University of Georgia. Man, I could go on and on. They're asking for more from you.
Yeah.
And you're really not giving it to them. That's my opinion. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that at all.
They're begging for it. I mean, everybody goes to the mic.
Well, one of the big things yesterday was people talking about how the SEC coaches are upset with him because they were under the impression if we go to a 9-game SEC schedule, the college football playoff is 100% going to 16 teams. And now they're pissed because here comes a 9-game schedule and it's still 12-team playoff.
They feel like the quote was they feel like they were misled. And I would go a step further. The SEC coaches weren't misled. They were duped.
Yeah.
And part of that duping was by their own commissioner getting duped by the Big Ten. The old oopsie daisy. And Roy, please bring that back about Roy Hinojosa because he's correct.
Yeah, there you go.
Man, Bobby, from you changed your tune about Sankey. We left the Big 12 and left a clown show. The SEC was always like this. Yes, you're right, Roy. I still think Greg Sankey's light years ahead of the clown show that is the Big 12. There's elements here, right? Or there's levels. The difference now with the state of Texas, you have the power of the entire state, the real power in the state of Texas. You have it. You're not using it. You're not leading from the front. You're still trying to lead from the side like it's just a small area of the country. The SEC is no longer a regional conference. When you add the state of Texas, you're it, baby. And yet you still want to lead from the side. You still want to be provincial in your thinking. I'm not mad at Greg Sankey. I want him to be challenged to do something about it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying throw spaghetti at the wall.
Right.
Find your target and then go after it and stop asking someone else to solve your problems. Go to the Big Ten, figure it out, and say goodbye to Cody Campbell and all these wanting to play kids that bet on their own team. I mean, that guy's trying to lead college sports and he's simultaneously trying to get a guy eligible that gambled on his own team. Give me a break.
I think some of it
is rich.
I think some of it, and I'm not sticking up for it, is when you're winning as much as they were. And some people are like, oh, well, what will the conference look like without Nick Saban? The SEC was winning national championships. LSU's had 3. Florida's had 2. I mean, Auburn had 1. I mean, the SEC dominated college football for years. And by the way, they won them in basketball too. And I think part of it, Bobby, is like, hey, they're winning. Everything's great, right? You're winning. You're the dominant conference in college football. You live in the dominant talent region too, by the way. And it's funny that Clemson won too with a bunch of SEC region players at the same time. But look, things were going so great. Things were going well. The same thing's been said about Texas. Like for coaches, when things are going great, man, you can get real comfortable in Austin, living in Austin at the University of Texas, and things can slip a little bit. I think the SEC was so dominant in football, and they won them. Like I said, they won them in basketball and other sports. That when things are going really good, you get a little complacent. I mean, he's been with the SEC a long time now. He's been there for a lot of national championship trophy hoists.
I'm not asking for his job.
No.
I'm asking for him to lead.
Yeah.
Like in It's almost like he wants to wait for something good to happen instead of making it happen for himself. Because frankly, that's what's happened to the SEC. They've just kind of slowly grown over time. Their football's been so good that it's kind of rising tides lifted all ships. They've done a good job managing it, signing good TV deals, partnering with the right folks. That's what they've done a really good job of. In the rapidly changing world of college football today, they need a little different type of leadership and thinking, in my opinion. I will say this again. If Greg Sankey does not hear what I heard this week, it will be a loss to the SEC, because I sat there and listened to every coach that talked in front of that microphone. Y'all asked what I heard. Every coach talked about the need for change. Yep. And Greg Sankey goes, we're evaluating. It's time. This has been going on for 4 years. It's time. You've got members of your own conference like Will Wade trying to, sign a 27-year-old freshman or whatever it is. I mean, it's time, dude. Stop. At some point you have to tee off, right? I know Harvey Pennick used to say, take dead aim, right? Well, you don't get 4 years to take dead aim. You have to tee off the first tee box and then get going. And I feel like there's a lack of that right now in a large way. And I'm not alone in that feeling particularly among media members. I'm not alone among people I think that like and love college football. I'm not alone at all in that. So we'll see where it goes from here, but dude needs to step up.
All right, guys. We got a couple of super chats left before we get out of here. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone one more time about Vaughn Lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do that, Blake. And everybody knows how much we appreciate Vaughn Lane here. Each and every week, we are sponsored on Thursdays by Vaughn Lane. They are your easy route to, from, or within stops in this great state of Texas. Alex and his crew over at Vaughn Lane do a great job. They travel from Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, the Woodlands, Plano. They even go in the Southeast, Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville, Atlanta, all on first-class coach fares. Just a tremendous all-around experience. I've done it a couple of times now. If you really want to relax when you travel to and from a city in the state of Texas, get on a Vaughn Lane. And remember, right now, you can actually book your trips to Texas football games all the way through October. When you do that, use the code OTF26 and you get $20 off. Again, it is very easy. I know some friends actually that book a charter, a bus from Vaughn Lane every year from Houston to Dallas just for the Red River game. Tremendous organization at Vaughn Lane, really doing well overall too. Again, that's vaughnlane.com. Use code OTF26 for $20 off your first ticket.
Hey, Bobby, I know there wasn't any talk about this down there, right, amongst people. If the SEC breaks away, should they go to 20 teams in 2 divisions? What 4 teams would you add?
No, that wasn't really discussed here. It's been
good question, right?
Yeah, it's been discussed elsewhere. I think that North Carolina has been the object of desire.
Yeah.
But I think Florida State, Clemson, Miami, and just close that off and not have anybody else have real access to the state of Florida. I agree,
100%. Florida would hate it, but it needs to happen.
Yeah, and I think South Carolina would hate it if Clemson did it. But I at this point in time, Again, I think it's time for bold moves from the SEC.
I agree. 100%.
The time for waiting is over.
Yeah.
Things are happening without you right now.
Yeah.
Instead of you are the hand that feeds college football. The SEC is the hand that feeds college football. You're letting someone else dictate terms to you right now.
Is it ESPN?
No, it's.
I mean, do they have a hand in it?
Really, Cody Campbell and a little bit of the Big Ten, and a lot of just minor players trying to look. College football is an unbelievable growth phase right now. Correct? Would we all agree with that? Huge growth phase. What is the first thing you don't do to a sport in a growth phase? Put a bunch of restrictions on the things that are actually driving the revenue. So let's go put restrictions on the two behemoths that are like, you don't go put restrictions on Google and Facebook right out of the gate when they're starting to boom. It's the same, but yet we have some immature is not the right word. We have some people that have minority interests that want to ensure they're playing at the big boy table, even if they're not big boys. And that's what's getting in the way here. And so, of course, they, can't say for sure, but I'm sure Cody Campbell donates a lot of money to a lot of different politicians. And so, therefore, has some sway. I feel like the SEC, again, needs to stop leading from the side and start leading from the front. That's
100%.
That's it.
We got a super chat from Jerry's Jack Link. Sankey sounds a little timid. Are there any thoughts that he's wanting out? Leaders tend to get timid when they're on their way. Not trying to start rumors, but any worries there?
I thought about that. Is it his time? Right. And I don't know that. I don't have any insight there. The one thing I want to make sure that I communicate here as I'm kind of asking him to do something different. I have a lot of respect for him. Do not mistake my request for him to be more aggressive as any kind of assault on his integrity or his management of an existing property. Because I think that has been almost impeccable to date, or maybe to the last year and a half, 2 years. I'm asking him now for something more, and that's it. But is he going to be here at the SEC in 2 years? Maybe, maybe not.
61 years old.
I mean, could he be the commissioner of college football, of college sports? Probably wouldn't be well taken, but I will say this, he doesn't have enemies in the truest sense of the word enemies. Like, he's not personally the enemy of Cody Campbell. The SEC is the enemy. He's not the enemy of the Big Ten. The SEC is the enemy. So I could see him being able to go into a role like that. People would think that he's naturally going to be favor the SEC. That's just not the case. The guy's from New York.
Yeah, he's a Utica guy.
Yeah, he's so it's just not the same. But anyways, yeah, I want to make sure as I talk about this person and ask him to do more. I do believe his integrity and just his overall desire to get things right is in the right place. It comes from the right place. I want him to do more. I think he has to do more. The conference needs him to do more. His coaches and his athletic directors are begging for it.
They're begging for it publicly now, not behind the scenes anymore. Publicly, they've gone public.
Yep.
It's very telling.
Let's see. Jerry, I'll let you answer this one real quick from Tanner Frazier. Jerry, thoughts on Spurs versus Oklahoma City Thunder series? I know people are talking about the officiating, yada, yada, but OKC is down 2 players and still winning, just a dominant team. Well put together. My son would agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the officiating is questionable on some level, but I'm not a lifelong Spurs fan. Oklahoma City is the best run organization in the NBA right now. They do the best job of putting a roster together. The trades they make, the moves they make, they're doing the best job in the NBA, bar none. Not even close right now. We'll see how San Antonio responds this offseason. I'd trade Castle. He's not a point guard. He's a turnover machine. He doesn't see the floor. I'm not a Castle guy. I've watched him in person. I would make a move there and move Dylan Harper more into more of that move as his career moves forward. But I think Oklahoma City is a super, super, super well-run organization. Their roster construction is top-notch in the NBA. No question about it. And they're going to have to continue that if Wemby stays healthy because he's only going to get better and better. And I think San Antonio will put more pieces around him. They're going to make more sense. They've done a good job, but Oklahoma City run a great organization right now.
All right, and then we got a super chat here for the both of you, and this will be our final one of the day from Terrence. Thank you, Terrence. Appreciate you as always. It says, Bobby and Jerry, how do you guys feel about a highly recruited athlete skipping their senior year of football? To me, it's a weak move.
It depends if they're skipping their senior year of football to enroll a year early at a college to play football. Does it make y'all understand where I'm going with that? So Terrence, if they just skip out entirely, unless injury notwithstanding, right? Injury, everybody completely understands. But if they're just skipping out entirely, yeah, I think it's a weak move. If they're going to a college that year, that August, then I think it's fine. Richard Wesley he's not playing his senior year of high school football because he graduated a year early. He's on the University of Texas roster. Hearing great things about him, by the way, behind the scenes. But the point being, I'm fine with that if they're actually going on to college. If they're not and they're just giving it up because they got NIL coming, that ain't it. Hey, Blake, I know you said one more question. I did want to get this one real quick. Wadey Keys, because this was something that was mentioned in Destin this week. Wadey Key says, what happens with all the NIL deals that are held up if the schools just pay the player anyway? So Brian Seeley, the commissioner of the College Sports Commission, was here, or the executive director was here. I listened to him speak, got a chance to ask him a question at a media scrum yesterday. He said they have to resubmit those deals. And if they just pay the player anyways, then there's going to have to be repercussions, but he doesn't necessarily know what the repercussions are because not everybody has signed the commitment to the CSC. Texas, by the way, has signed the commitment to the CSC. You know who has it? Cody Campbell and Texas Tech.
Yep.
So they don't want to be governed, yet they want this other law that favors them to govern them. So there you go. And what will happen? Some people are talking about players that money is held up are going to boycott. I mean, look, I don't know that Sam Levitt's money has been held up at LSU, but if you're owed $6 million to play football and you've gotten zero, or you've gotten 100,000 of it, would you play for LSU? I mean, at some point it's on principle. Like, you don't go to work and expect not to get paid. So there is talk here in Destin about some players on teams, particularly in the Southeastern Conference and Big Ten, who have not been paid because their deals are held up in NIL Go, that they might forego the season and not play unless they're paid. By the way, Texas signing that agreement with the CSC while Texas Tech doesn't, how does that look on just more of what they want? It's just It's incredible to me. So, anyways.
Hey, a couple things there, Blake.
Yeah.
Living rent free baseball. Jackson, Florida will be held to pitch against Texas. If that happens, that'll be a heck of a matchup if they both win.
Yeah.
Softball, obviously huge game today for the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention that before we get out of here. Texas actually just released this video just a couple of seconds ago while Bobby was talking, but they will play today against Tennessee, and the Women's College World Series starts here at 2:30, I believe, is the game time.
1:30.
Oh, yeah, 2:30 Eastern, 1:30. So that is correct. But, yeah, four good, tough games today, and we'll see if Texas.
And the Texas game follows Mississippi State and Texas Tech. So
does Texas play? Who does Texas play the winner of if they win?
Texas Tech.
Yeah, I'll put the bracket
Tech,
up for you here.
State. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, a Texas Tech matchup would be unbelievable. I'm sure CDC would be there. Sark might have to make an appearance for that one. You'd think Cody Campbell will be there. Jason White Chocolate Williams will be there. His daughter plays, and he's been having a fun with Florida fans where he once played. That Texas Tech matchup would be probably do a lot of views too. That'd be a national championship game rematch from a year ago, and a lot of venom, guys.
Need to come out hot today, no doubt about it. Mississippi State was hot the other day, so Texas Tech, I think, will have their hands full.
Carolyn Pickens, great pitcher, hitting 80 miles an hour. Offensively, they're not what Texas is, so it'll be interesting. I think if they get the Pickens early, I'm not talking run up 4 or 5 runs on her, just get a 1 or 2 on the board. I think they can put some pressure on that Tennessee offense.
Hey, in baseball, you mentioned Jerry mentioned Jackson, Florida. Is he the UCSB pitcher or who?
Yeah.
Okay. And in baseball, Texas starts with who on Friday?
So I actually got a text about that while we were on the air. Harrison will get the start tomorrow, and then Volantis, if all goes to plan, will start on Saturday. Then those games, of course, start tomorrow at 5:30.
Holy Cross. Texas has Holy Cross.
Okay, sorry. I've been involved here that.
No, all good. They play Holy Cross. I was actually talking to our buddy Longhorn Frenzy yesterday. I was trying to find Holy Cross is terrible as offensively. So Texas should do good. They bat .255 as a team. They've only played 3 teams inside the top 100 of the RPI. I was doing some research yesterday. So, I mean, Texas should come out and take care of business. So we'll see what happens. You never know. Play the game.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, don't forget, we are 100 days away from kickoff, so there's no better time than now to come join us over at ontexasfootball.com. You can get your first 3 months for just $3. That practically takes you to the very start of the season. It's a limited time offer for new subscribers only. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll begin our player countdown as well. But a lot of good stuff going over at ontexasfootball.com. And, of course, a lot of good stuff going on over here on the OTF YouTube. Right, Bobby? What do you got later?
Later today, we've got a recruiting update coming out. Jerry mentioned Kamara. There's some other things going on behind the scenes. We also have the nightly live stream on Thursday night. Please join us for that. And, again, I mentioned this, but we are loading up with news and notes from the SEC Media Day or spring meetings, as well as just team news and notes that we're getting. Please come join us over at ontexasfootball.com. Jerry's funny as you know what on the boards. As funny as he is here, he's sometimes funnier on the message boards at On Texas.
Get away with a little bit more over there.
I noticed that.
100%. Doesn't feel the same as video where it's locked in forever.
All right. Well, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live, post content, whatever it may be. And then, as Bobby said, check us out over at ontexasfootball.com. And we got you covered around the clock when it comes to Longhorns coverage. And, of course, we hope you all have a great day today. We'll be back tomorrow morning. So, Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Hook 'em horns.